going on, my super sandwiches? Ramps out here, and today I got the Charizard case. This is the holy grail of my collection. Well, really, it's just a Charizard's, aka the Charizard's on the cover. Now, about 2 years ago, I want to say, I did a collection video where I showed off like all my PSA graded cards, and it's got a lot of views actually. It blew up later after I uploaded it, and I've gotten a lot of requests saying like, Rhyme, show us more, do us like an updated version of that video. I want to do that actually, but first and foremost, let me just show you my Charizards first. So in the comment section below, if you're interested in seeing like a upgraded collection, I guess, video, then leave a like or a comment or something to let me know to do that, and I'll try to put something together at some point in the future. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and start off with the Charizards because I feel like that's the one that people want to see the most usually. Get all these out real fast and kind of go through this. Now, I am not going to put prices in this video. The reason why is because it's the same thing that I ran into in my last video, what I did 2 years ago. Prices change. A lot of those cards are going to be higher in price or lower in price depending on what came out. And just to make sure that I don't misinform anything in the video, granted, I mean, 5 years down the line, this video is still on the internet, everything is going to be like way cheaper than it is now because prices don't tend to go up. I'm just going to kind of talk about it, and if I don't really know the price, I'm just not even going to show it. So first things first, let's kind of go down the easy cards first, and then we'll go down like the real hype ones. I think I have them ordered from like the least rarest to rarest, or it might be kind of out of place or whatever. So first things first, we got a Charmander. There's going to be a couple Charmanders in this just because, you know, the Charizard family, obviously. I'm upset that we never got this beautiful card here in the US. This is a Japanese McDonald's promo. I bought this for like 50 bucks along with a Squirtle. Got them both great, and they both came back as 10s. I don't think this is that expensive. I think maybe it's worth like 120 bucks in that neighborhood. Again, I don't know all the prices, but I saw this originally a couple of years ago. I'm like, I need this. I need this and a Squirtle. And obviously, I gave the Squirtle to my girlfriend, and I got the Charmander. I'm not going to do this. Let's put this over here. Next one we got, okay, so this is what I mean. This is going to be kind of out of order. We got a Skybridge Reverse Charizard. This is like the first Charizard I got from Skybridge. Outside that, I've never seen a holographic version of this card ever pop up, except for one time, which we'll talk about later in the video. It was kind of expensive. This cost a couple $100 at the time, but like if you guys a PSA 10 or even as a PSA 9, it's pretty valuable. Unfortunately, this came back as a 9, and I don't know why. Condition-wise, there's no scratches. It's got pretty decent centering, I'd say, and there's nothing on the back. I feel like if I got this reviewed, it would come back as a 10 easily, but you know what? I'm just going to accept it and hold it. I feel like this is one of the most slept-on Charizard designs because it's so beautiful, and for some reason, it's not up there talked about as a favorite when compared to like stuff like the Gold Star Charizard or the many reprints of the base Charizard. Speaking of which, we got a reverse Charizard from Evolutions. This was actually really hard to get. I pulled this and graded it myself, and it came back as a 10. It was like one of the only ones that was available at the time. Because remember, originally, there was like a race to get a PSA 10 of the reverse one and a holographic version of this card. And it's absolutely beautiful. I don't think this is worth that much nowadays, but I mean, you're going to find those people down the line in the next year or so, a couple years down the line, that absolutely are going to fight to try to get that. So yeah. Speaking of Evolutions, here's another one. The Mega Charizard from Pokemon Evolutions. When this first came out, this was worth like 300 bucks. Since then, the price has fallen down by a lot. I think it's probably worth like 100 bucks or so. But I mean, like, this was like the starting point to me. Like, Evolutions has a special place in my heart because of that. Like, Evolutions came out, I got back into Pokemon, and now here I am a couple years later, just going crazy on the collecting game, all because of one set that was reprinted from the original base set. Speaking of base set, here is a PSA 10 Gem Mint Charizard. A lot of people don't really care about stuff like this, but I always say that the starters are definitely worth grading, and what better way to have the original starter from base set as a PSA 10. And you know what? How about this? You know what's better than this? That in first edition Shadowless format. Now this I think is kind of valuable. This is probably worth like, I want to say 200, 300 bucks in that neighborhood. I'm not really 100% sure, but that's what I've seen it sell for before. But again, it's like, it comes down to like who actually wants to spend that much for a common card. There are people out there, especially if you're just trying to if you're trying to complete a collection of cards, from like the original releases and stuff like that. All right, this is an interesting one. This is a VS Versus Edition Lance's Charizard that was only released in Japan. The art on this is absolutely beautiful. I bought this card for like $6, and it came back as a 10. So luckily, I didn't have to chase the 10 for this. I mean, granted, grading a common card is a lot easier than a holo because it really, there's a lot less issues to think about other than really just centering and stuff like that. And I love this card. I think it's actually really slept on. But for some reason, this is worth a decent amount. The last time I saw it was selling for a couple $100 on eBay. I'm not sure where the price stands today, but initially when I got this, I was like kind of blown away. I was like, wow, this is actually kind of valuable. Next one we got a Blaine's Charizard in Japanese. This card is special to me because this is one of the first cards I got out of a Goodwill lot. I got it graded and came out as a 10. I was so excited. Originally, when I saw this in the actual lot, I was like, oh snap, there's a Charizard in there. Let me try to buy this lot, because if you buy stuff from Goodwill, you never get like high definition photos. You always get like those horrible pixelated images. And I remember seeing this thinking, oh, it's a Blaine's Charizard, which it was. It just happened to be Japanese. Good news is it was in fantastic condition, so when I got it graded, it came back as a perfect 10. I don't think there's a first edition. There's no first edition version of the Japanese Gym Hero set. In fact, every pack came with a guaranteed holo too, so I feel like this is not as valuable as the English one, obviously, because in the English one you can get the non-holos, and that takes away from being able to pull the holo cards. Next, we got the Mega Charizard, the Secret Rare Edition, as you can see, from Flashfire. I think this Charizard is absolutely slept on. The thing is sometimes there's a little bit too much going on the screen, but if you can kind of ignore all that around there, you see like the Charizard just popping out, like bursting out of the image, and I love that. I bought this myself. I think I bought this for like 50 bucks a couple years ago, and it came back as a 10. Last time I checked, this is worth a couple $100, maybe like in the 300, 400, 500 range, but I'm not really sure. I just feel like this is one of those cards where it's just pricey because it says Charizard on it. And I feel like also Flashfire kind of missed the ball because the ultra rare version of this card was basically the exact same design. The only difference is the secret rare version is kind of more goldy, if that makes sense. It's got like a little goldy pattern as opposed to like the regular one. But I feel like this is still kind of a slept on card because look at the blue flame. I love that about this card. Next one, we got a double over here. We got, bam! We got the Breaks In Charizard, which is going to be the next card I'm absolutely going to chase when Cosmic Eclipse, I think that's what it's called, comes out in a couple of weeks. This card, it's a funny story with this. I bought these from eBay for like 40 bucks a piece when this first came out. I have no idea what the price of this is right now, but I'm sure when the English set comes out, it's going to be like way expensive in the beginning, and then it's going to crash like it always does. I bought both of these. They were both in like these super skin tight sleeves, and I thought I damaged one of these cards by pulling it out, but I guess I didn't. Lucky enough for me. But they both came back as 10s, and I think this is going to be a really fun one to chase. I say that right now, though, of course, because I'm sure once I go like 120, 300, 400 packs in and don't pull it, I'm not going to enjoy that set as much anymore. Speaking of not enjoying the sets, we got the GX Charizard, the Reshiram Charizard, which was like super high in the beginning, and then it's super crashed because everybody has one now. Well, not everybody, but there's a lot more PSA 10s in circulation. I figured I'd get this grade just because I do love the design. You know, you got the Reshiram and the Charizard both attacking at the same time. It's not that valuable, probably worth like, I want to say $100-ish in that neighborhood. But really the one that you want is the hyper rare version of that card. The next one we got a Detective Pikachu Charizard. Like I said, a lot of these early Charizards are going to be like the more recent ones, and then we're going to go back in time as we go deeper into the reveal of this video. This I kind of got graded just because I figured, hey, it says Charizard on it. It looks kind of cool. It's like a realistic looking one. Why not? And lucky enough for me, it came back as a 10, which I'm not surprised because, I mean, this was in pretty good shape when I pulled it. So, yeah, it's not that valuable. I'm probably worth maybe 50, 60 bucks. I have no idea. Again, I'm not going to include prices mostly because I don't know the pricing for all of these. The thing about me, a lot of people don't really realize is I collect for myself. I don't collect because like it's like the cool thing to do. When I get these cards, when I pull these cards, I'm not doing this and I'm not getting them graded just because I want to like flip them. I keep these in my collection. Like for example, I pulled this Charizard. This is the infamous Charizard I pulled when Ultra Shiny GX came out a couple of months ago in Japan. And then I bought like 2 more and got them graded. And they all came back as 10s, which is actually really exciting. And then I gave 2 away. I gave 1 to a friend, Leonhard actually. I donated that along with the Gold Star Charizard for his mental awareness charity. And then another one I kind of just gave to some random person that emailed me one day just saying stuff. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to send you a package. And I include that in there. But I kept one for myself, obviously. I love this card. It's awesome. Look at this beauty. If only I can pull this in English one of these days. The next one we got, actually it's going to be another double. We got the Evolution Charizard in first edition form because Japan still has first edition cards and we don't over here anymore. Right behind it, we got the English one. I was one of the first people to get this as a PSA 10. Like I remember when this came out, there was like a huge race to try to get a PSA 10 of this. Everybody was sending them in. I think by the time mine came back as a 10, it had like literally like 800 PSA 9s. Because these cards were horribly manufactured. And of course the one I pulled happened to be in perfect shape, good centering, everything. It was good enough to be a 10. So this actually I'm never going to sell. Which again goes to show what I was just saying. Like I could have flipped this when this first came out for a couple $100. I think at the time it was selling for like 600, 700 bucks. I was like, nope, I just want this for my collection. I don't care about the value of it. To me, it means more. On top of that, this is like the card that got me back into Pokemon collecting. So I'm like, I'm keeping this forever. Like it holds a place in my heart. Speaking of which, we got 2 more over here. Gold Star Charizards PSA 9s. Now, if you guys been keeping up my channel for a while, I've actually sent these in several times now. I have 4 of these. Well, now I have 2 left. I gave one to Leonhard for his charity. I sold one, which I didn't really want to do, but I was like, you know what? The person really wanted it, so I figured I'll sell it to them. And I still have 2 left over. I initially planned on selling all of these to get a PSA 10, which we'll talk about later once we get to like a specific card. But yeah, man, getting these graded was difficult. Like, these were all in really decent shape, but there was always one thing wrong with them. And hunting for Gold Star Charizards was ridiculously expensive when you buy this as near mint. So I'm glad I'm done with that, which I'll explain once we get to that specific card that will kind of like, I guess, connect the dots on why I did what I did. Ooh. I think this is one of the most slept on Charizards in the world. I really wish they would have released this in English at some point, what they didn't. I think they only released the same style art for Venusaur. I think it was like a Black Star promo. But the Blastoise and the Charizard was never released here. It was only available as a CD promo in Japan. These are, of course, the arts, the cover arts from the original Game Boy games for Pokemon Red and for Pokemon Blue. I don't have the Blastoise on me. I gave that to my girlfriend, but I do have a PSA 10 of that. Well, I guess it's hers now. But this is like one of my favorite arts. The only thing that sucks about this card is there's literally like, what, 2,000, 4,000 in circulation as PSA 10s? Because these are always just in really, really good shape, and they got hella graded. So this is definitely a collectible, like a you know, you're a fan of the art and you want that. But as far as value, this is worth like probably like 90 bucks or so. Not that much. Ooh, here's another Goodwill card. So when I first got into buying stuff from Goodwill, from the Goodwill website, I saw this in the thumbnail once again. I'm like, oh, there's a Charizard in there. Let me buy that. Not realizing, because you can't never tell because it's always super pixelated, that it was actually a Legendary Collection deck Charizard, meaning it was like very, very common. Now, lucky enough for me, this is the only card that was in perfect condition in that entire lot, and that was enough to give me a 10. I don't know what the value is of a non-holo Charizard, but I mean, like I said, it's costing like 40 bucks total for the whole collection, so it's gonna be worth more than that. This is at least like 100 or 200 bucks, I want to say, if not more. Again, there's always people who are probably gonna be all like, those cards worth that much? Yeah, look them up. If you ever see me show off a card in these videos, just look up on eBay to see what the current value is. You can base it around what people are selling it for or what they're currently being bid for. That's why it kind of varies. That's why I don't want to do like actual prices, because for example, this card right here, which we'll talk about here in a second, this sells for like 2,200 to 2,200 bucks all the time. But a lot of times it's listed for more, so it's like, what is the actual value? I don't know. So between $2 grand to 2,500 bucks. But this guy right here, once again, I was one of the first to get a PSA 10 of this. This is how you know this is like the very first one. It's got the little print error. I'm pretty sure it's a print error. It might not be of where it's supposed to have 3 retreat costs. It's supposed to be 2, but it's like the indent for a third, which shouldn't really be there. But I remember when Burning Shadows first came out, I was also one of the first to finally pull it, number 1, and 2, I was able to get it as a 10 before anybody. I think this is like, when I got this, there were like 5 or 7 in circulation total. Again, I could have flipped it for like 1,200 bucks, which is what it was selling for at the time, but I'd rather just keep it for my own collection, because knowing me, I would just get it again later. I mean, granted, I guess it would be smarter to just sell it early and then buy it later cheaper, but like I said, I have a special connection to my cards. I collect these not to make money. I collect these because I just have I don't know, I'm just really passionate about them. That's why. The story with this guy, though, is interesting. So I seen this pop up one time on Troll and Toad, and the one time I saw it, well, since then there's been many more that popped up. The one time I saw it, I immediately sniped it. I think I paid 350 bucks for this, which at the time was a lot for, you know, a single card. I wasn't spending that much money on cards individually, but I was like, you know what, this is beautiful. If it's in bad shape, I'll just return it. If it's in good shape, I'll get it graded. This was in flawless condition, and I still never forget when I first opened the package, I was like, there's nothing wrong with this. This is in perfect condition. That 350 bucks I used to buy this card, this is worth like 2,200 bucks now. I think TCA Gaming just bought one. He talked about it on one of his previous videos. He just bought one for about $2,000. So that shows you the crazy flips you can find if you like buy a card for cheap, get it graded, and then, you know, you get it as a 10. That's probably one of the best ways to get PSA 10s, but it's also kind of risky because a lot of times this could have came back as a 9 or something. So yeah. So yeah, this is. Sorry, I just got distracted because a text message popped up in the corner of my screen. This is one of my favorite Charizard. This is just really, really dope, and I'm glad that I had to just. I only took me one try to get this as a 10, because there's a couple of Charizard, like I said, like the Gold Star Charizard, which I tried several times to get as a 10, and I never got it until, well, we'll get to that when we get to that. The next one, of course, is the Charizard Saga. As you guys know, I pulled this. It came back as a PSA 9, and to this day, I still don't know why. I think this is in really fantastic shape. Like, I know this is from the first print, but again, there's no whitening, none of that, no scratches. And for whatever reason, they decided to give us a 10. I feel like sometimes PSA is like, yeah, we'll get this one a 9. I think this might have been one of those cases. Now, lucky enough for me, I have 2, which I'll be sending off soon, and maybe hopefully one of those comes back as a 10. But I'm still going to hang on to that one because I pulled it. Like, if I pull a card, I don't like getting rid of it. Next one, man, there's going to be a lot of these arts. We got Staff Charizards. I bought these for, like, I want to say 400 a piece originally when they were, like, super hot back in the day. I think the price actually has stabilized, and they still sell for about 400 to 500 a pop. But unfortunately, they came back as 9s. I feel like this one especially, let me double check. Yeah, this one especially should be a 10. Like, I feel like I might get these, like, reviewed again because they got nothing wrong with them. Again, I feel like sometimes they want to just keep the PSA 10 count down. It's a crazy conspiracy hat theory that I have sometimes, but I feel like this should definitely be a 10. At least one of these should, because there's no scratches, no bends, nothing. For some reason, came back as a 9. So, yeah. Anyways, gonna go ahead and put these up. All right, like I said, you're gonna see this art a lot, but this one you guys might kind of recognize a little more because it is an OG. This is a PSA 7 Shadowless Charizard. There was an arc in my life at the time where I was basically buying out every single near mint Shadowless Charizard I saw. Back then they were only like 200 bucks. As you can see, this is graded a long time ago. They were like 200, 300 bucks. And even if you get it as like a 7 or 8 or 9 or a 10, definitely as a 10, you get your money back. If it's anything below 7, that's kind of like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But yeah, you're gonna see a bunch of these actually in the stack of cards that are left. But yeah, man, anything above a 7 for Shadowless, I think is an absolute win. As you can see, this one definitely has a lot of centering issues, especially at the top. And I feel like because of that, that's what kept it from being an 8 or a potential 9. I think there's a couple of scratches. Yeah, there's a couple of scratches on here, so this is definitely 7 worthy. But whatever, it's still a beautiful card. I mean, look at that art without the shadow. Again, to kind of compare, here is a PSA 10 unlimited card. And as you can see, this one has a shadow. This one doesn't. That's what causes these cards to cost that much. I always see people who are like, wow, I had like 5 of these in my closet in my childhood home. No, you don't. I mean, you might, but it's highly unlikely. What people mostly have are these. And of course, this is a PSA 10. This is one of the rare PSA 10 cards that I actually just straight up bought that are Charizards. I mean, I bought PSA 10s before, but usually if it's an old Charizard and it says Gem in 10, I kind of avoid trying to buy it just because they can get pretty expensive. This actually hasn't really changed that much in price since I bought it, honestly. I got it for a pretty decent deal. But they tend to do this. And they only kind of fluctuate about a little bit because there's still a lot of unlimited Charizards in circulation. That's why these are more desired because there's a lot less Shadowless cards in circulation, which is why these cost much more. I mean, to give you an example, a first edition PSA 10 Shadowless Charizard, remember first edition with the little stamp in the corner over here, costs about $50,000 right now. This is more around $1,500, $1,200 to $1,500. So big difference, all because of that border being on here and not being on the other one. But yeah, still a cool card to own. I mean, this is like the card to own when I was a kid back in the day. You had this, you were the coolest kid on the block. It's just facts. Ooh. This Charizard, I feel like, is highly underrated. Also, one of the most annoying to grade. You're probably wondering, like, Ryan, why is this annoying to grade? It seems like because it's full art, it's got like the texture, it's harder to damage. Well, the reason why is because most of these that I've ever came across in my entire life had huge centering issues. It was always in the bottom, it was like really, really thick and then thin at the top. I have no idea why, but like, it's like when they printed a Plasma Storm set, both this and the Blasters, they just didn't know how to print. And I finally, after like, I want to say 10, I finally came across one that was in perfect condition. I'm like, oh, this could be a 10. And bam, went from buying a $100 card to getting like an $1,100 card. I don't know what the true value of this is, honestly. I have seen them sell for about $1,000 to $1,100-ish in the last like couple years. It could have gone up. It could also gone down a little bit. But I feel like with how beautiful this card is, this is definitely one of the most slept on Charizards in the entire game. Don't sleep on this guy. This guy is amazing. Go ahead and put that over here. Now we're getting into like the crazy territory of the video. You ready for this? Boom. First edition Shine Charizard. Unfortunately, it is a PSA 9, but still, it's a good one to own. I bought this for myself back in Black Friday of last year. I saw it on sale. Well, also, it was not on sale. They were selling it, but then it had like I think like a 15% off extra deal going on for Black Friday. I got it from Troll Toad. I figured, you know what, let's buy it. Whatever happens, happens. If it ends up being an 8, 9, 7, whatever, I just want one because I never had a PSA or a first edition one. I have an unlimited one, which you'll see here in a second. But yeah, this is actually in fantastic shape, but it's not in perfect condition, so it has 0 chance of being a 10. Still a cool one to own though. I'm probably not going to pursue a 10 for that because they're very expensive. PSA 10 first edition Shine Charizards are just expensive, and I'm not really a big fan of the design as well, which I guess is the thing that puts me off the most on this card. But still, just the status of it, I think is cool. Ooh. Now we can get into some more old stuff. Bam. We got 2 Gem and 10 Blaine Charizards. We have a limited one, which is funny because there's a lot less of these in circulation than there are of these. There's a bunch of these. I don't know currently how many there are as of time recording this video. You can check stuff for yourself by just going to psacard.com/pop and just type in Blaine's Charizard. But these are both the arrow ones, which are the most common ones, which have the fighting energy here instead of fire. If you have the corrected one with the fire energy, they're worth a whole lot more. But yeah, I got both of these. It's funny, actually, I bought these a long time ago. And it's funny, so these I got at the exact same time. I got them graded. This came back as a 10. This came back as a 9 originally. And as you can see, that's why it was like in the 2 millions over here. And this is like in the 4 millions. Well, recently, in like the last couple months, I decided to get this reviewed. I'm like, you know what, let's see what happens. And it came out as a 10. I thought it would be a 10 because there's nothing wrong with it. It's got good centering. There's no scratches, no issues. I have no idea why this originally got a 9. But hey, man, sometimes it does help to get a card reviewed if you have like second thoughts about it. So yeah. Comment section below between this Space Charizard and Blaine's Charizard, or Rocket Charizard, which one's your favorite? I'm kind of curious, because I feel like this one gets, I feel like it's Base Charizard, Blaine's Charizard, and then a Rocket Charizard, but that might also vary from person to person, so let me know which one you like more. Fire Red and Leaf Green. This card took forever to get as a 10. I think this is worth about 600, 700 bucks in that neighborhood, I want to say. The Near Mint card sells for about 100, I want to say. But the thing that always sucks about grading cards like this that have a bunch of hollow around there is it's so easily damageable. Like, you breathe on it and it's scratched up. And by the way, this does have a sleeve in case you're wondering why there's so many scratches. It's just a sleeve. Yeah, this one, it took me forever to get as a 10. And when I finally did, I'm like, you know what, I'm done. And I'm not a big fan of the art on this one, honestly. I feel like maybe it's like a top 10 best art towards the bottom. But still, I feel like this is kind of an iconic Charizard that's going to get more expensive as we go on out of all of them. So this is probably going to rise up above the Blaine's Charizard, the Shining Charizard, and stuff like that. Just it's going to take a little bit of time. I don't know why. I just feel like I have a feeling that this is just, something about this is just really, really cool. On top of that, the design is like, it's whatever. It's kind of cool. I like the face, but then like the rest of the body looks kind of awkward. So I'm not the biggest fan, but I do like it a lot. I feel like I contradicted myself a lot in that statement, but you get what I'm trying to say. Gem Mint 10. There we go. Again, I'm not a big fan of this design. I like the fact that Shining cards from 2002 and the Neo Destiny era are all holographic and everything else isn't, which I guess makes them easier for grading, I think. But overall, I think this is one of the worst Charizard designs of all time. Like, again, it looks cool that he's glowing like this, but like, I don't know. I just feel like it's just kind of lacking in the art. Like really, this is what made it through. Am I the only one who feels like that? Let me know your thoughts down below. Oh, there it is. There it is. Gem and 10. So remember when I told you I had that story? I initially planned on selling the 4 PSA 9s that I had to buy this. And I figured, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and buy this. I bought this as a 10. It was very expensive, but I wanted it at an auction a little bit below market, actually. And my plan was to sell the other 4 and then basically make my money back on this one, essentially. Although technically I spent money to get those, so it's not really the same thing, but get some money back at least. But yeah, I love this card. I think this is probably one of the best Charizards of all time. Like, look at it. It's just beautiful. I feel like it should be worth more than it does. I feel like this should easily go over the $10,000 range at some point. I think right now, at the time of recording this video, it's worth about $5 grand in that neighborhood. More recent ones have sold between $4,500 to $5,500, so it kind of varies from seller to seller. But it's about right there in the middle. But I feel like for what it is and how iconic this card is, it should be way higher on the list as far as value. I don't know, that's just me. It's a shiny Charizard with a gold star. Come on, like, this is beautiful. Do not regret buying this. I absolutely do not regret buying this. Another slept-on Charizard. You're going to hear that a lot in this video. Bam. The Skyridge Gem Mint 10 Crystal Charizard. So I mentioned that I'd never seen these pop up on Troll and Toad. I saw this pop up one time, and the one time it popped up, it was very expensive because this is a time when like this card was like super valuable. I think it was selling for like $5,000. No one was buying it, but that's what people are trying to sell it for, and because of that, it drove the price for the PSA 9s, the 10s, and the near mints of these cards. So when I came across this, I'm like, this is expensive, and if this doesn't come back as a 10, I'm going to be hurting. Lucky enough for me, the Charizard that I bought from Troll and Toad ended up being in flawless shape. So when I got it graded, it came back as a perfect 10, and I'm absolutely happy that it did because this guy is a gem. Now, unfortunately, there was that weird case. Again, this is a sleeve on the front, so this is not a scratch on the card. There was that case for a while where these cards were doing this a lot because I guess people were buying them and trying to flip them real fast, and they ended up killing the market for a while. And the price of this ended up dropping to like $1,800 when it was worth like $5 grand. Since then, it's gone up a lot. It's definitely gone up a lot, and I'm still at the point where I spent less to get this than it would be as a PSA 10, even back then at the lowest point. So I'm happy I own this, but man, this guy I feel like also should be at the top along with the Gold Star Charizard, because look at his design. And like the hollow patterns like all over, this is beautiful. This is like the epitome of the collection. Well, not really, because the epitome is coming right up. All right, we got 8, 9, and 9. We got a couple more Shadowless. I actually got a PSA 6 behind me as well, which is not in the case, or not in the actual suitcase with the Charizard. It's kind of in my backdrop, which you never see because I have green screen on. But I got a couple of these. So these is when I was actually trying to get some 10s, and unfortunately, I was always just barely off. This one I understand because it's a lot thicker. Look at this centering; it's atrocious, and it came back as an 8, right? Yeah, this is an 8. There's no scratches or anything. It's perfect, but the centering is what kept that from being any higher. Then we got 2 9s that I feel like, again, they could have been there. Maybe this one is debatable because you can tell that it's off center definitely, but this is still like, come on, this could have been a 10. This absolutely could have been a 10. I might get this honestly reviewed at some point and see what they say, because outside the centering on the bottom was just slightly thicker, not compared to this one. There's no scratches on it or anything. This is like a perfectly flawless Charizard, and even now as like a PSA 9, they're still worth like $1,500, $1,600 bucks in that neighborhood. So it's a nice one to have. It's way better than having the base Charizards because there's so many of those unlimited ones, or the unlimited ones. That's what I meant to say. Whereas with the Shadowless ones, they're so hard to like come across, and if you do, they're usually like damaged and hurt. But yeah, this guy, man, I'm probably never gonna get rid of these 9s, and I've had offers on these, but like I don't. It's very rare for me to sell cards to my own collection. Like most of this is all for me. And now for the Holy Grail, the moment you've been waiting for. The first edition Shadowless Charizard. I bought this originally when it was worth like, right now, to give you an example, if you come across a near mint Shadowless Charizard, expect to pay between $2,500 and $3,000, which is wild, just for the card alone, if it's in near mint condition. This I bought for like $1,200 bucks. And I remember at that point, I had never spent more than $300 on a single card, which is what I was talking about earlier when I bought that Legendary Collection card. And I remember I was like, this is expensive, $1,200 for a single Charizard, I can't do it. But you know, I was like, you know what, screw it, I might never have another chance at this again, and I bought it. Fortunately, it came back as a 7, which is both good and bad. I think at the time, a 7 was worth about 2,000 plus, so technically I was still in like the good range where I wasn't like super losing money on it. And now actually it's worth a lot more, so like buying it back then and waiting the time that I did definitely was worth it. But still, like, you know, as a collector, you want to get those 10s. So yeah, but that's fine because this is not where the saga ends. The saga continues because I did it again. A couple months after I bought this, another one popped up, and I'm like, this one is in flawless condition. This time I like looked at the actual card from like head to toe. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with this. This one actually has pretty good shape, with the exception of it being kind of off center. Everything else was perfect, but that centering was kind of bad because, like, look at this. You can tell this definitely like pushed in the top left corner as opposed to like being in the middle. And I feel like the centering ultimately is what hurt it. But I feel like this honestly could have been OC9. Like, come on. There's no scratches on here. Again, there's a sleeve on the actual case, so that's why you're seeing possible scratches there and stuff like that. But the actual card itself has no damage at all. So I feel like this could have been a 9, potentially an OC9. But unfortunately, I wasn't there yet. But that's okay, because the saga doesn't end there either. Because now, we got a 9. I bought this one. After like hunting these for a while, I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm buying a 9, I'm calling it a day. Now, lucky enough for me, the 9 that I have is in perfect shape. Like, look at this. The centering is just flawless. The actual card has no scratches. The back is great. There's no whitening at all. This, honestly, if I get it reviewed by PSA, could be a 10. And I'm actually like super thinking about doing it. The only thing that scares me is sending this card off. Like, I feel like I would just go drive it off myself because technically I'm within like 100 miles from PSA and I can just probably go give it to them and get it graded. But I'm thinking about this. Like, I might do it. I might do it because this could be potentially a 10. And to give you an example, a PSA 9 right now is worth about $6,000 to $7,000. It might be even more by the time you watch this video in the future. But a PSA 10 of this is like $50,000. And yes, people are paying that kind of money for it, which is wild. If you don't believe me, look it up on eBay for yourself. You can see like the sales history. These guys are like the most desired cards in the entire hobby, next to like the trophy cards, like the illustrated Pikachu cards and stuff like that. This is like the holy grail of the game. I remember when I was a kid, I knew this card existed, the first edition Charizard, but I never in my life imagined even seeing one, let alone holding it. And here I am right now when I'm older, and I don't just have one, but I have 3. So yeah, my favorite card hands down. So yeah, that is my Charizard collection. Again, if you want to see the full collection and everything else that I have, like the Lugias, the Mewtwo's and stuff like that, the Gold Stars, then leave a like in the comment and I might do like a video on that as well. I'll split it by doing like a Yu-Gi-Oh video and a Pokemon video. But for now, that's my Charizard collection. Hope you enjoyed this video. Man, it's a lot. Let me know your thoughts, what your favorite Charizard is out of any ones that was released in the last like 20, 30 years of Pokemon. 20 years? Man, it's been a long time. 20 years of Pokemon. And otherwise, hope you enjoy the rest of your day. My name is RAREST. I'll see you next time. Peace.